Hey everyone, welcome to Fantasy National Golf Club. You're hanging out with Mayo and the Moose and talking about one of the new tools available to members of Fantasy National Golf Club. And it's the mixed condition model. You'll see it right on your screen. It's in beta mode right now, and then right below that is the yellow bar where you can add different conditions to your model if there's certain things that you want to see for a specific event. So Moose, first of all, I want to add something to my mixed condition model. Let's say I want to add Bermuda Greens, last 24 rounds. I want them fast and I want them lightning fast, and that's all that I want to see. How do I do that?
Okay, so what we're going to try to do here is we're going to first start by filtering on the conditions that we want. So let's first start by selecting your last 24 rounds.
Done.
Okay, now let's select Bermuda Greens.
Bermuda Greens.
And then let's scroll down to green speed and select fast. And then select lightning once that's done. Yep. Perfect. And so what that's saying here, when you select both of them, that's saying let's take either situation. So we should have about 530 some sample rounds there from that.
Okay, so
now we've filtered it on how we need it to go. And now we just want to add this to our model. So you can click that.
So I've clicked on the yellow, so now I go down and select strokes gained putting because that's the column that I want, right?
That's correct.
And in the describe the conditions, this has no effect on anything besides the fact that it's for my own purposes, right?
Yep, and let's say that we're going to look at a couple different strokes gained putting in our model. You'll definitely want to put a description in there so you know that you're looking at the last 24 on Bermuda bent. Otherwise, if you're only going to have one putting column in your stat, then you can just leave it blank and move on.
Bermuda, fast, and more. I like caps, so I'm going to add caps.
Okay, I like caps.
So I just
add a couple exclamation marks before you hit add?
I can do that. Can I hit, then I hit add?
Yes, you do.
Okay, so let's say I want to see the past 50 rounds from this sample. All I do is just change 24 to 50?
Yep.
Okay, so let me do that.
And while that's loading, what you'll notice after you clicked add, it just kind of went away and it's there, and we'll go and look at it when we're all said and done with here.
And my conditions are still saved here at the bottom because I haven't changed them. So now all I do is just go back, go to putting, last 50, putting.
Yep.
Fast. More. See, this is why I get entertained when I make my mixed custom models. I can just entertain myself doing this all night. So now I want to clear this. Let's say I want to add strokes gained off the tee, and because this is a long course, I want to select over 7,400 yards. What's the easiest way for me to clear my conditions here on the left?
What I always do is I go and I click the Fantasy National Golf Club in the top left, and that's just going to reload the page and clear everything out for you.
Perfect. So now I go scroll down to my next condition. That's over 7,400 yards. And I want to see the guys that play well and gain strokes on these longer courses, whether they be bombers or not. Strokes gained off the tee. And I want to set it to last 50 rounds actually makes sense. So last 50 off the tee over 7,400. So I can add that in. Anything you want to add into our model?
Yeah, you know what? This week they're hitting, the greens are going to be really firm. Let's stick with last 50, but let's focus on firm greens and keep the over 7,400.
So long approaches on firm greens.
Yep, and then we'll just add strokes gained approach.
Okay, so let's add, go to select, strokes gained approach. We'll put in last 50, approach, firm, over 7,400. So we'll add that into, you know what, I'm actually gonna throw one more in here now that you have me on this. Now that I have my strokes gained off the tee, I have my strokes gained approach with different settings. I'm actually gonna keep these settings. I'm gonna add in ball striking as well to give me a combination of the two. Strokes gained, ball striking. Just, see if there's anything different between those. So now I have all these things punched in, the 5 different conditions that I want to look at over different samples. What do I do now?
You know, we should really do one more here.
All right, give me one more.
So let's clear this out again. And then let's filter just on Quail Hollow. So go down and there's 2 Quail Hollow courses, and to select both of them, you're going to control click on each one. Yep. Click one.
You can control click or command click on a Mac.
Oh, yes.
So click both.
Yep.
And now
And now just click anywhere outside of there.
So this is basically adding in course history.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. So now let's just add in strokes gain total.
So let's add in strokes gain total, and we'll put in
And let's just call this course history.
course history. I think people understand how many typos that I have in my columns now after they see me try to type all this stuff. So boom, that's all in there. So we have 6 different conditions for our mixed condition model. So I just click on the mixed condition model beta now.
Yep.
Let's go to that. Oh, it's exactly like the regular model.
That's correct. Yep. Just like the regular model, only this is going to be a static one, like a static snapshot in time. So now we can go and apply the weights. And since we've got 3 weights here, or 3 strokes gain putting, that's why it's super helpful that we have the descriptions there so we know which ones we're doing. And then otherwise it would just say SGP 3 times and you'd have no idea which weight, ones you'd want to weight. The other thing to keep in mind is that as we're weighting these, if at each time you apply weight, that's essentially putting more weight on putting. So if we have 3 of them at 10%, we're applying 30% of our weighting to putting.
Did I add an extra one here and didn't even notice it? I did too, didn't I? So I'm going to get rid of this column because I have last 24 Bermuda fast and more in twice. Because I hit it before you told me to go back and put an exclamation point. So I'm going to get rid of that one.
Oh, there we go.
So I'll just get, that's a good thing that they're labeled that way so I can figure out what I got on the go here. So I'm going to weight both the puttings at 7% each. Because you know with me in putting. And then course history, I'll weight at 10 and figure out the rest. So what do you think we should weight here a little bit more? Off the tee, ball striking, or the approaches?
Well, off the tee,
You know what? I'm going to go 11% for course history to make this easier for me. we got 75% to deal with.
Well, so one thing that I'd like to just keep in mind here, and so we're looking at the last 50. Now they're all in different conditions, but strokes gained ball striking is a combination of approach and off the tee. So we want to make sure that, we're kind of thinking about how we're weighting this and what the results are going to give us, since they're all kind of the same here. So I think that if we give the ball striking maybe 25%.
Okay.
And then what do you think is going to be more important, the approach on the firm or the off the tee on over 7,400?
I'm going to say if you gain it off the tee, the approach won't matter as much. At least that would be how I would consider it.
Yeah, so let's go 30 for that one.
Okay.
And then just 20 on the last one.
20 on, you know what? I'm actually going to decrease these last, we'll go 15 for this. We'll go 15 back to ball striking. Before I load it, there's something else I want to add. So if I want to add and keep my weights, can I just click back over to the main page?
Yes, you can.
All right, so I'm going to click back over to the main page, and I want to add in 10% of recent form as well. So let's say I want to look at just the last 12 rounds overall, and I want to add strokes gained total, right?
Yep.
So we'll call this one recent form.
Now, what we could do on this too for recent form is we could also set the time frame to only include the last 10 months, because when you grab last 12 rounds, if a guy hasn't played for 3 years, his is going to come up in the last 12 rounds.
Okay, so by doing that, should I set my calendar, or should I set like the
Well,
past?
you could either set your calendar or see there's a time frame that's right underneath sample size.
Right underneath sample size. You're going to have to guide me here.
Move your cursor up.
Okay.
There you are.
Here we are. Last 6 months. Last 3 months, let's say.
Yeah, let's go last 3 months.
Last 3 months. We'll add that into the condition as well. Oh,
And then let's switch your sample size back to all rounds now. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. If you only want the last 12, that's great. So it's last 12 within the last 3 months.
yes.
Perfect.
So
Add that.
we'll call strokes gained. And you know what? I'm not so much concerned about putting, so I'm just going to put in tee to green recent form. Because, I'm more of a tee to green guy. I already have putting mixed in there for a certain mixed condition, so I'll just add that. Now I'll go back to my condition model.
I don't think it's going to keep the weights now that I think about it.
Well, it's okay. I should probably need to rejig it anyway. So let's just go 5-5 for putting. That'll make things easier. Good thing I have enough of a memory that I can remember things. So strokes gained off the tee, we said we wait around 30%. And then strokes gained approach around 20%. Course history. What are you? You more of a course history guy or a recent form guy?
Recent form.
All right, so let's wait.
But I think both of them at around 10% is pretty good.
All right, and then we'll put ball striking in 20% as well. I mean, I can lower ball striking and up recent form to 15%.
Let's just run it as is and kind of take a look at what we get and see if we want to tweak it a little bit afterwards.
All right, let's load the mixed condition model. See what we come up with here. Who do you think is going to be number one?
I'm going to go Rory. What do you think before you scroll down?
It's Rory. You're right.
Oh, yes.
Big shocker. Justin Thomas not rating out as well under these conditions despite winning the PGA Championship here last year. That's strange. Not great off the tee. I guess when we look back at the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow versus the other Quail Hollow rounds, even when you go to up under the course breakdown, you'll even see under the strokes gained that it kind of flattens out a little bit in terms of what really mattered at the PGA Championship versus the historic data of Quail Hollow. So that's very interesting to note. But tee to green, that recent form tee to green's looking pretty good for Justin Thomas. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, no, it really is. And so one thing I just kind of wanted to point out as you're hovering, and so you don't have to always scroll up to figure out which, since you have 2 strokes gained putting there, it'll tell you which one as you hover over that. It'll give you their total strokes gained, and it'll list that description that you had for that one versus the other one, so it's easy to remember.
All right, so this is the last 50 putting, the final column, and the penultimate column is actually the last 24 on Bermuda, fast and more.
Yeah, because what it does is when it loads it up, it starts to load them up from left to right, from your most important to your least important.
I mean, that's very logical.
Yeah.
Well, let's see who else this likes. Ooh, Adam Scott, Hideki. Here we go.
Hideki also played great last year at the PGA Championship.
Yeah, and it's funny because he's played well at this course in the past and the PGA Championship, yet he sucks at putting on fast Bermuda greens. Maybe the guy can hit his irons. That's what makes the difference for him, obviously. Well, maybe we get an average putting week and he runs away with this. Yeah. So one thing I kind of want to just touch on here that I get a lot of questions on, and they're like, well, how many people should I take from my ranking? And I never look at the my rank as these are my 15 top guys. I need to make sure to play all of them. I like to look at this to see which of the guys who are lower in salary pop, like Lucas Glover is coming in at 5 right now. And then the other thing I like to do is I like to kind of scroll down into that 20 to 30 range to see if there's guys who just aren't spectacular in anything, like who is, Paul Casey, that's kind of an obvious one. But see, he's not spectacular in anything, but he's solid all the way through. Now, a lot like Luke List, actually. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. So I kind of like to scroll down through that. Who we got? Stuart Sink. Yeah, even Grayson, he sucks at putting on fast greens, but everywhere else he's kind of okay. Yeah, Stuart Sink. Bud Cauley actually does quite well. Chesson Hadley. Yeah, so it's something that I like to look at because as the weeks go on, it's never that you built a model that lines up exactly with the leaderboard, but what you kind of see is the guys who are down in the leaderboard tend to just be real middle of the road. They're not bad in anything, and then those are the guys that can kind of pop. So like Webb Simpson there, obviously this is a local course for him and he's a known commodity, but he doesn't really score outside the top half in any of the categories. I want to see how JT Poston's doing. This is also and if you use the search bar, you can look people up here. Yeah, well, he hasn't been great lately. This is also a home course for JT Poston. That's why I mentioned that. Excellent. So yeah, this is just a more information for me to get, and then I can weigh this. I can weight it against my custom model of the actual just stats I'm looking for without the conditions. Then I can cross it over, use some of the simulator, use the ownership projections, and I'm on my way. Yeah, can we take 2 seconds back and just talk about how awesome this is? Because this is pretty crazy. We've never been able to do anything like this before in PGA DFS, where we're taking stats from certain conditions and moving them in with stats from another condition. And it's pretty exciting new stuff that it should really help us out in terms of
dialing in the guys that we're looking for.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty cool too because, I mean, the custom model itself, you can customize any way that you want to look for different things, or some people think that, hey, maybe this will play more like the PGA Championship from last year, and I don't want to focus so much on off the tee, I want to focus more on approach and around the green, and their model can tell them completely different than what mine does. So it's all about what you think is going to happen. You can just, if you have a strong lean on something, you can really exploit that, especially now that you can mix the conditions. And if there's certain particular things, even just for research purposes. And like you said, you don't need to use my rank and just go through everything and say, hey, this is what I want to do. These are my power rankings. I'm going to go on my business. But it can pop someone out to you, even if you only want to like look at approach only. And you can be like, man, Lucas Glover on these types of greens, maybe that's why he's won this tournament before, is because on these long approaches on firm greens, for whatever reason, he just knows how to stick it. Stuart Sink as well. And then you see someone like Bill Haas say, hey, he over the last 50 rounds on firm approaches, on courses where the approaches are going to be a little bit longer, he's doing quite well. Yet you go look at his course history, when you click on Bill Haas, and you look at the Wells Fargo Championship, and you're not going to like the results all that much. So it just gives you more to compare against when you're trying to find sleepers or trying to find pivot plays and everything like that. Now, solid showing. I know the Wells Fargo wasn't at Quail Hollow last year, but miscut, 68th, 44th, miscut. Way to go, Bill Haas, just killing it. And he's never hit approaches well here, which is really strange to see. Maybe he's found something different with his long iron game. Who knows?
Yep, and I think that's the most important thing to tell people is as they're going through their models or going through any page, if something kind of pops out to you, click on their name and dig in a little bit, because we make it really easy to kind of just at a glance see what's going on with that guy.
Yeah, so is there anything else you wanted to add about the mixed condition model before we get out of here?
We kind of touched on it a little bit in the model that we built, but I think it's a really cool thing now where you can look at the same stat. I can pull them just straight off the tee, and I can weight their long-term form versus just, okay, who's doing good in the last 2 weeks. And ideally, get somebody that's, doing well in the last 2 weeks and great historically as well. But there's guys who are kind of turning it around, or they're on hot streaks. And so you don't want to discount them. And so now you have a mechanism for being able to allow guys that are hot recently to pop. So now that we've built this model, what's really cool is we can actually also incorporate our custom model in here. So Pat, do you have a custom model that you use or you've been using that we can kind of go take a look at?
Yeah, I'll go back to the main page and bring it up. Don't want to give too much away. I have my stat board template up. You can see I've saved my custom models up there that I've used. So the Heritage one, which I won all the money on, I think I might save that one for next year. Valero didn't turn out quite so well. Probably have to tweak that one. But this is the one that I use when people watch the show and they see the numbers come up. This is the order that they actually come up. So should I weight these for you?
Yeah, let's just throw in some dummy weights for the time being here, just to kind of make our point here.
You know what I actually like to do sometimes on these is sometimes I'll add other things. Like I don't really factor in around the green all that much. But I do add it to the model just so it's on the screen so I can see it in case I want to use it as a tiebreaker or something.
Oh, that makes sense.
So load my view?
Yep, let's load your view. And let's just assume for the sake of this that we just want it wide open last 50 rounds because we don't have any filters set.
All right, so it's gonna come in on last 50 rounds. So
yep, and so what we're doing with the custom model is same thing that we're doing with the mixed condition model, only we can still apply filters to that and it'll change as we're going. But now what we can do thanks to the mixed condition model is we can go throw in your power rankings from here into our other model. So let's click add column to your mixed condition model.
Okay.
And let's select my rank.
Okay.
And what did you say this is called?
This is my stat. This is my stat board model, but I can just put in custom model.
Yep. Perfect.
Custom model ranks. So I'll add that in.
Yep. So let's go back into our mixed condition model. So we right now have a model that we just built that encompassed about 5 or 6 different stats. And now we are going to build a new model that takes the results of that stats. And so let's drop one of those down and let's pump up another one.
We'll put down ball striking down to 15. We'll put in approaches down to 15. We'll drop off the tee down to 25 and weight my custom model rankings, although they're going to be wrong since they're not specifically for this tournament, although they're a good gauge of what everything is, and I'll load those up to 15%, then load it in.
Yep.
No, Rory's still number one.
There we go. And now we've got a model that's built on another model too.
And I can still see model built on a model. I can still see my ranks from my model in here, along with the custom, with the mixed condition model ranks as well. That's interesting.
Yeah, and look at how different those numbers kind of end up being now too, that we've thrown in different mix. And obviously the my rank is based off of completely different stats, but.
No, but that's really interesting, though. I think that's a nice way to juxtapose what you're looking at specifically versus the broader sense of what you want to be looking at.
Yeah, so just another cool little trick that we can do now.
The mixed condition model is available to all members of Fantasy National Golf Club right now. So, become a member today.